Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode when I'm going to go through the SA2 mock paper answers. Okay, for every question I'm going to go through how I arrive to the answer itself and what are the things to take note. Alright, if you have your paper ready, let's start with the first question. Alright, question 1 is asking, what do all living things need to survive? So what I do is that I know that living things need air, food and water, so I put a tick around it, and for A, B and C, and for sunlight, I don't need sunlight to survive. Sunlight is only necessary for plants for them to grow well, okay? So when sunlight is not necessary, but all living things need air, food and water, okay? Question 2. Looking at this animal X, okay, which animal group does animal X belongs to? I know that it has 6 legs and 3 body segments. Okay, maybe it's not really clear, but once I can see that there are 6 legs, I can say that this is an insect. Okay, the answer is 1. Question 3. What is the difference between mammals and reptiles? Okay, the first option, mammal give birth to young alive. Is it all of them? No, that's not true. Okay, we know that there are mammals which lay eggs. Second option, mammals produce milk for their young, but reptiles do not produce milk. Yes, that is true. Okay. 3, mammals breathe with their lungs, but reptiles breathe through their skin. Reptiles do not just breathe through their skin. Reptiles have lungs. Okay, for option 4, mammals are covered with hair or fur, but reptiles are covered with feathers. Reptiles are not covered with feathers, so the answer is 2 for question 3. Question 4. What is the difference between the characteristics of plants and animals? Okay, option 1. Animals can reproduce but plants cannot reproduce. That is false. Plants can reproduce. Option 2. Plants do not respond to changes. That's false as well. Plants are living things, so they respond to changes. Option 3 is the correct answer. Plants can make their own food, but animals cannot make their own food. Option 4. Plants grow in dark and moist places. That's not true. Okay, but animals do not grow in the dark and moist places. That's false as well. Question 5. Which one of the following statements about fungi is correct? Okay, fungi feed on dead matter. The option 2 is my correct answer. Fungi do not reproduce by seeds, they reproduce by spores. And fungi depend on other dead organisms for food. Okay, and fungi have stems and roots. That's not true as well. You look at the ferns and all this, they do not have stems. Okay. Alright, moving on to question 6. Question 6. Object A has the following properties. Allow most light. So what I do is I put a small note here. Most light means that it's transparent. Does not break easily. This refers to it being strong. And it can be bent easily. It means that it's flexible. So fabric, we look at it. Fabric is not transparent. Option 2, glass. Glass is not strong. Okay, option 3 is plastic. Plastic is transparent, strong and flexible. So all the three properties agrees with this. So option 3 is my answer. Option 4, rubber. Rubber is not transparent, so that is not true. Okay, moving on to question 7. Which of the following statements about life cycles is or are correct? Okay, nymph looks like an adult. Yes, that's true. Mosquito molts several times during the larva stage. That's true as well. Frogs have fewer stages. That's not true. Frogs and chickens both have 3-stage life cycles. Option D. All animals have the same number of stages in their life cycles. That's false as well. So the correct answer is A and B. That will be option 2. So far, alright? Okay, question 8. Looking at these two graphs, okay, for the stage X, you can see that A, it increases in length, while for stage Y, the length remains constant throughout. Okay, so we know that if this is the growth of a grasshopper, most likely when it reaches the adult stage, it shouldn't change much in the length. Okay, but for nymph, you can see an increase in the length itself. Alright, so it's option 3, nymph to adult. is unlikely to be egg because we don't see the egg becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Alright? Question 9. Which of the following animals have a three-stage life cycle? Adults, egg, and nymph. Nymph shows this is clearly not a chicken or a bird. Nymph it just refers to probably a cockroach, grasshopper. So for frog, the young of a frog is not a nymph. Beetles is 4-stage, mosquito is 4-stage. So the correct answer should be 4. Question 10. What does the seed need to germinate? Okay, so remember this acronym, WOW. Warmth, oxygen, and water. These 3 items. Okay, so in this case, the best answer here will be option 3. 11. The diagram shows the development of a seed and on a piece of damp cotton wool in a dark metal box. So we know that it has warmth, oxygen, or rather air, oxygen which is part of air, as well as water. But it's placed in a dark metal box. So it can actually germinate, but it cannot continue to grow and survive because it needs light. In a dark metal box, there's no light. Okay, that's why after some days it starts to wither and die. So the best answer here will be option 2. There is no light. Question 12. Which of the following statements about young plants and adult plants are correct? A. Both the young plants and adult plant produce seeds. That's not true. Young plants do not produce seed. B. Both the young plant and the adult plant make their own food. That's true. A young plant, as long as it has produces true leaves, is able to make food as well. C. Both the young plants and the adult plant develop flowers and fruits. That's not true. It's only the adult that actually produces fruit and flowers. D. Both the young plant and the adult plant have roots, stem, and leaves. That is correct. So B and D are the correct options. Alright? Next, question 13. Okay, from this flow chart, I can see that matter has definite shape, is most likely is going to be a solid. No definite shape, but has a definite volume, that will be liquid. And then no definite shape, no definite volume, that will be a gas. Which of the following statement is incorrect? X and Y do not have anything in common. That's not true. Solid has a definite volume as well. Okay, so this is definitely incorrect. Option 2, Y and Z can take up the shape of the container. That's true because they have no definite shape. Y cannot be compressed. That's true. Liquids cannot be compressed. While Z, which is a gas, can be compressed. That's true. X is solid, Y is liquid, and Z is gas. Okay? If you have written down the notes like what I did, you'll be able to arrive to the same conclusion. So option 1 is my answer. Onwards to question 14. What is the following changes would he observe when the water is poured into container B? You look at the shape, it is different. So change in the shape of the water, that's true. The mass and the volume remains the same. So my answer is option 1, A only. The last of the multiple choice question. Metal tank has a maximum volume of 500 cubic centimeters. Okay, it can be filled with, I know that, solid, liquid, and air. The only one that can be compressed is gas. So my answer should be 1. Because for oil, which is a liquid, sand, solid, water, liquids, all of them have definite volume. So I cannot fit 600 cubic centimeters of oil, sand, or water into this metal tank, which has a capacity of 500 cubic centimeters. The correct answer is 1, because the air can be compressed. Now, section B. Question 16. This animal has wings and is covered with feathers. So obviously this is a bird. So based on Aaron's observation, so what does Aaron see? Okay, besides the outer covering, name one difference. So now we're comparing the difference between a bird and a mammal. Mammal produces milk for its young, but animal Y does not. Okay, if you mention about laying eggs, that's not true because there are mammals which lay eggs. So, but it's very clear that mammals produces milk. This is a very clear characteristics of mammal that birds do not have. Part C. How did the fungi obtain their food? Okay, you look at animal Y, you know that it's fungi. Fungi obtain the food from dead organisms. So, but it's on animal Y and it's growing on the skin of animal Y. Although animal Y is not dead, you still have a dead skin around. Just like for us, we don't really see that we have dead skin, but maybe like dandruff and you know, we can't really see, but dead skin gets. We do have dead skin on our body itself. Okay, so fungi obtain food from the dead skin of this animal. And how do they reproduce? They reproduce by spores. 17. Now, Nicole conducted some tests on materials A, B, C, and D. And from this table, we can see whether it's flexible, does it float, or is it transparent. So based on this, I'm able to arrive at my answer. Black trash bag is D because D is flexible, it floats on water, it is not transparent, and I'm not too sure about the last column here. Alright, we'll find out later. Clear glass is definitely transparent, and it is not flexible, so the answer is C. While brick, not flexible, does not float on water, it is not transparent, so therefore brick is B. Now we list down the properties that we know. In this diagram, we already had these three items: flexibility, transparency, and ability to float or sink in water. So now, the torn heading here, would it be about strength or about being waterproof? So let's look at B. If it's about waterproof, B. If it's about strength, yes, that's true. But what about for clear glass? Would clear glass be strong? No, it's unlikely to be. So therefore, I eliminate the possibility of the answer being strength. It should be, is it waterproof? Okay, so it's about whether it's waterproof. Once again, I check A, material A, t-shirt, is it waterproof? No, that's why there's a cross here. B, is a brick, is brick waterproof? Yes. C, clear glass, waterproof? Yes. D, trash bag, waterproof? Yes. That's how I arrive at my answer. Question 18. Two animals here, A and B. Based on the diagram above, okay, which animal is an insect? I will choose B. Okay, some of you may have written that, oh, because it has three body segments, but is it very clear in this diagram? Not quite clear. But what is very, very clear is that it has 6 legs, and therefore I can classify this as an insect. Part B. Animal B is a young of an insect. It resembles the adult. Okay, so we know that it resembles the adult. Most likely, it has only 3-stage life cycle. Because for those with 4-stage life cycle, they will go through the pupa and the larva stage where they would not look like the adult. The next one. The life cycles of animals show that living things can reproduce and grow. Question 19. Study the classification chart shown below. So I have 4-stage and 3-stage. We are looking at stages, so we can conclude that the heading is about life cycles. B. Which group does beetle belong to? Beetle, I remember that he has 4-stage, so I'll put it under the 4-stage life cycle. Your answer will be 4-stage or 4 stages. Question 20. The diagram shows a seedling. Okay, during germination, which part will appear first? Always, when we plant the seed, the first thing that will appear will be roots. Part B. Is the seedling able to make food at this stage? What does the plant need to make food? So at this stage, when it's still very young, I would say that in fact, I think I got my answer wrong. It shows the seedling. Yes, it actually needs, it's able to make food because we can see that there are true leaves already. Okay, so for my answer here, this is incorrect. You should actually answer it as yes, it's able to make food because it has its true leaves. 21. Is air a matter? Yes. So air, I will classify it as a gas. So my keyword here is gas. It is a gas. And what about matter that we know? Matter must have these two properties, is that it has mass and occupies space. Okay, but right now if you have written just gas, you get a 1 mark. If you have written mass and occupy space or mass and volume, it is good because you are being very clear in your answering. Part B, balance beam. And you have two different sizes, one big and one small, but they are able to balance these two balloons. So it shows us that the mass is the same. However, the volume, because amount of space it occupies, A occupies more space than B, therefore it's different. Now, given a long bar of rubber and a long bar of wood, same length, same thickness, which one should he use? I'll use the wood because it will remain straight as it is not flexible. Can you imagine if I have a bar that is made of rubber? You'll find that when I hang both of the items, the rubber bar will actually bend. I do not want it to be flexible. I want it to be straight. So the keyword for here will be wood, and it is not flexible. Alright, 22. We have done this question before in a Vitamins worksheet, I believe. Okay, so you have a Play-Doh lowered into a beaker of water. After that, you flatten it. So now, when you place it back into the water, you find that the volume of this Play-Doh, does it remain the same? The shape changes, but does the volume change? It's unlikely. Alright, so the new water level is the same because the volume remains the same, although it is of a different shape. Okay, part B. From this experiment, Andrea can conclude that the Play-Doh has a definite volume, or you can say it has a fixed volume. Alright, regardless of what shape, the volume will still be the same. So this Play-Doh itself, if it is 10 cubic centimeters, when you flatten it, it is still 10 cubic centimeters. It doesn't become smaller. Okay, it just changed into a different shape. Even if I shape this into a Mickey Mouse shape, it will still be the same volume. Alright, we have come to the end of this paper. If you are not too sure about the explanation, you can rewind this video and pause and look at your answers and see whether what have you missed out in your answers, or what part you do not understand. You can rewind and watch it again. Alright? If you have any other questions, you can just drop me an email and I'll reply to you very, very soon. Okay, have a meaningful 4 days break over this long weekend. Alright, I'll see you next Friday. Bye.